Ready, Sally?
Grimore, I've been standing here for
Just checking.
Do you have the map?
Yeah. Did you read the case file?
I'm not sure yet. It's really not a lot to go on. Did you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it on the way to the crime scene. And it's full of...
Any fish in
Not a single... Although there...
It's a cassette tape. Or it used to be.
It's a statue.
Playing a harp.
Playing a harp. Hang on a second. This...
Something tells me we're...
Let's come... It must do...
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
It's not soil.
Is that an...
It's been open. Let's read it.
Isn't that an invasion?
No, definitely.
Don't think it's locked.
Oh, that means we...
I'm pretty sure that's the rule.
What is...
I think it's a family tree.
The outline... There's no real...
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up by the canvas.
So?
So she was probably standing really close to the canvas when she fell.
Let's check the case file again. There it is. The
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it?
Looks that way.
I wonder if all of Freya's paintings are this creepy. Maybe it's just because she never got to finish it.
There's something wrong with the crime scene, and something really weird about the murder weapon.
We didn't find a murder weapon.
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because it stabbed Freya.
What?
Weird, huh?
You think Freya was stabbed by a painting, not by the woman from the painting?
Mm-hmm. Freya was standing right up by the canvas when she was killed. There's blood on the knife. It's the murder weapon.
Right, but it's not actually a knife. It can't stab.
See any other knives around here? Case closed.
The case is not closed. And even if you were right, where does that leave us? A painting can't be a murder suspect.
Freya's painting supplies. Supposedly looks like...
Didn't even get a chance to clean her brush.
Is that a crown?
I think so, except
It's also got a big crack down the middle.
What about the cassette?
Yeah, it sure is. Think.
Do you think it's still...
The gramophone? It's piano music.
Is that an egg? An egg.
It's what a completely...
I think...
Those gems look like... That's the one.
Hey, not bad. Did it unlock?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Well, I'm not an empty egg is a clue, right? Flora...
Hey, sorry to barge in. I'm sure you're still in.
We need to ask you a few questions.
Did you witness the murder, Flora?
Nothing. What do we do?
Not sure. She's entitled to her silence, I suppose.
For now. Is there... I don't really know anything about you at all.
I think that's the way she likes it. We'll just have to ask other people about her.
Yeah, okay.
Freya was painting...
Was this something you had planned with her ahead of time?
Was there something special about yesterday?
Did you talk to Freya at all while she was painting?
She's not going to answer us.
Nope. But at least we can say we tried. Flora, you were definitely in the room at the time. Can you tell me anything about what happened to Freya? Yeah, she's acting pretty suspicious if you ask me.
I don't know. Maybe she really doesn't know anything.
How is that possible?
A little hand-painted.
How can you tell?
Well, the paint. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell. Nice.
How do you know?
Why else? Plus, there's a treasure. What's the deal with that paint?
Not sure. We should check that treasure map.
That's done it.
Neat. What was in the box?
More wooden. These are a little different to the one on the desk.
Sir? Can you hear me?
Grimoire. Good mysterious name. Felix Fellow at your beck and call.
And, this is my colleague, Sally.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good name as well.
Thanks.
If you would, Mr. Fellow, we really need to ask you about the murder.
Well, I must say I'm rather jealous of you two.
Oh yeah? Why's that?
Out here solving mysteries and exploring new places, uncovering secret rooms, hidden treasures. That's what life is all about.
Secret rooms?
Generally speaking, you know, that sort of thing.
So, Felix, what exactly do you...
Is it not obvious? I'm an explorer. Explorer/treasure hunter. Yes, well, best in the world.
We're talking like curse statues, spike pits.
It's a little more sophisticated than that. But I've certainly seen my share of danger, if that's what you're asking.
And, if I may ask, when did you retire?
You listen here. I may be between ventures right now, but it's simply not in my nature to stay in one place for too long. I go wherever the winds of destiny take.
Don't you live here with your wife and daughter?
Yes, well, the fend with Flora the way she is.
Nothing wrong with raising a family, Mr. Fellow.
Don't misunderstand me. Fiona and Flora, they are the greatest treasure of all.
Uh-huh.
Why on earth would you want to know about that?
The murder of Freya Fellow. The reason we're here?
Ah, right. Nasty business. I regret that I can't be of any help. But I wish...
Hear that, Grimoire? We're done here. Let's go.
It's a simple question, Felix. Well, I'm sure you're up to it.
Well, there's not much to tell. Mostly, I was in my room by myself, working on a project.
Your room is quite close to Flora's tower. You didn't hear anything unusual?
What qualifies as unusual?
What have you got?
It was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent?
Abridged version, please.
Right. Fine. I heard someone heading down the stairs. Just outside my room, the footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty, as was the garden beyond his window. Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora, too, of course. Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I. I stayed. Flora needed me.
That painting.
Why would
Maybe Freya enjoyed the atmosphere it creates.
the atmosphere?
Hang on. There's a smaller version.
It's a photograph. Drawings.
What's that one?
Looks like one of them's holding a red rose. It's a little wooden box.
To the casual. They're not real paintbrushes. Looks like they're part of some. That's done it.
Neat. What was in the
Just a photo. Well, most of a photograph. It's an illustrated.
It's been
or it was left.
ever so slightly unnerving? A chalkboard.
Is this a library?
I'm not sure I learned anything from that. Is that...
Of sorts. Hey, it's a model. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing...
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions. Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
May I talk to you, miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't.
I am a...
Correction. You do not need to talk to me,
Oh no?
because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the...
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So,
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one.
So true.
well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the dog?
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro...
Microbiologist. But it is an insignificant. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognition.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the mic. I constructed my first one at age...
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No. But that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... That's what I'm supposed to ask.
Yes. However, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi?
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact...
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other?
Fifi's bedroom should be on...
Can't wait.
Fifi's got some...
What is all this?
Did you notice who...
Freya?
Mm-hmm. It looks like a microscope.
Can I touch it?
That's the one.
Hey, not bad. Sounds like it.
Yeah, there's a book in here.
Whoa.
You're not fellows. Oh, I'm sure I shall immediately...
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick, Grimoire.
A private detective, Grimoire.
Really? This is a joke. It's not a good one.
Who are you, anyway?
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
Oh, nice. Hawkshaw's a cooler name than maybe I'll become her sidekick.
You're not on the Freya Fellow case.
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh, right.
Now, if you would... It's not in my interest to discuss...
Even if you're one of the suspects in...
Very well. Let us make a small exception. Ask.
Oh.
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at Tangle Tower?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
I am not at liberty. Now, I shall permit you...
What crime...
How'd you get that scar?
You really think so? As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at Tangle Tower.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber.
Was Flora in there
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky. Didn't say a word. Although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance, but she did not.
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite. Towards the early evening, sounds of running, wailing. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him great alarm. He told me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my office in the stone square. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. She was clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the fellow staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an intruder in the house. I took my leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower. An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance. He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled. That much was clear, but sorrowful, mournful, I cannot say.
It's a big stone.
I guess when I first one too.
Is that
If it is,
I'm guessing.
so what does it?
That's the one.
Hey, not bad. What's in the box?
A little, but I'm not actually sure what it is. This one's in.
Okay, that is.
Looks like a gemstone, don't you think?
A little chart. Actually, I have no idea.
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot.
Sally, don't move.
Yeah, I see him. He's a little too... Is anyone going... Or shall we just stand...
Right, sorry.
Sorry.
That's better. I'm Sally. Who are you?
Fitzfellow, the gardener.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so...
I don't know.
You work here.
I don't get paid to do it. It's just my area of interest.
What's the deal with the plants? They're all kinda weird.
Right. Did you see the lake?
That giant green and purple lake surrounding the entire house? Yeah, I clocked it.
The color is just a byproduct.
Of what?
It's not poisonous. Not to you.
What's this got to do with the plants?
The water controls all life, just like anywhere else on the planet. Clouds form, rain falls. The water grows the plants, and anything you've perceived as an irregularity is simply a result of this hydrological cycle.
Could you say that again, but like, condense it as if you were...
Our lake water causes the unpredictable alteration of DNA.
Alteration?
That'd be the official term. For us, it's normal. Just nature.
And you're the local expert on it?
No, I'm just the gardener. I was in my greenhouse, watering, and we...
Sounds exciting.
Was anyone else around?
Not at first. Penelope came in a little late. She likes looking at the flowers, I think.
Did you speak to each other?
A little, not too. We both left the greenhouse in the early afternoon. I went up to my room. Then I came back outside to weed the main gardens. Didn't see anyone else. After that, I went up to the garden outside my room.
And?
Let me guess. Watering it.
Right.
Did anything happen to you yesterday, Fitz?
I was up in the rooftop garden, and then it wasn't. I can't describe it. Could have been a scream, but it didn't sound human. We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
We?
Poppy was with me. Did I not mention that? Flora's room was locked. That's normal. She usually locks it from the inside. I knocked on the door and shouted. Nobody responded. We became concerned.
You kicked the door down?
I did. Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back. Flora was there too, but I barely noticed her at first. Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too. Penelope arrived shortly after that, with Felix in tow. I thought that was odd. You don't normally see the two of them together. Felix took charge. There was nothing else I could do to help. I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything. I found her pacing back and forth around the stone square. When I approached her, she snapped at me. I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent. She questioned me.
About what?
My work, the plants, bit of everything.
Did she search the greenhouse?
No, she didn't.
You sure? Maybe she did it when you weren't in there.
No, she hasn't touched it.
How can you tell?
Trust me, I can tell.
Fitz's room is unlocked. It's up in the...
This could be interesting.
Hello.
Not hidden.
Doesn't need to be. It's locked. It's a combination, sort of. That's done it.
Neat. Anything in there?
Yeah, it's round. That's kind of ominous.
It's locked.
I thought we were...
We are.
What's that thing by the...
It made a noise.
I guess that... And...
I still feel like we made some sort of progress. Oh, whatever it is.
Well, it is gotta practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude! Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
Ah,
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
what's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice. I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just...
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer. 3.5 hours of piano practice. Soon as I wake up.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way. So I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
What?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that. Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Plus, I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment. I didn't know what to do. So I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The three of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Poppy's...
I wonder what's in there. Sheet music.
It's only a few
Yeah,
minutes.
it's been framed though. Must be important for some reason.
It's a metronome.
Is it a bomb?
It's supposed... Not sure what those symbols... That's done it.
Neat. What happened?
Little hat.
Anything in there?
Part of a photograph.
There's something about something.
Let's ask Poppy about it.
A big glass leads out.
There's a little mech...
Something
That
happened.
must be it. Finally.
Whatever's on the others.
Giant stone.
Yeah.
Except those aren't snowflakes. They're feathers.
He's also...
No, they're not, and they're not headphones. They're earmuffs. And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! In that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious.
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Travel?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I'd... No matter where I go, I always find myself...
Because of the bird.
Oh, no, because it's silly to admit, but I suppose I can.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our two families. Fitz and I find... I awoke early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there. Crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That and he has a great deal of work to do every day. Watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you'd think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 4.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I. Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the Fellow Tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too. Standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
We can get into Penny's room.
Now, like... There's something weird about it. Just feels out of place. It's a birdhouse.
Are those real? Nope.
They're using up all the perches. What if a real bird wanted to use it?
No, that was it.
Nice work. Did the door open? What's in there? You know, I would look at it.
Wait a minute. How old is... Got it.
I'm impressed. Did you hear that?
There's a
bunch of paper. Looks like somebody's research.
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're so quiet, so loud.
What are they whispering about? Are they spreading rumors about it?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Mm-hmm. Could this speck of dust start by telling me his...
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality, as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
Me? Not much to... Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And, of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh, no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17...
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh, dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the cosmos I say hi.
The day began as any other. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening. I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever, then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that.
That's all the statements.
Let's go over them all. Every astronomer...
I want to try. Is that a... Is there another room?
We should check that next time we're over there. Isn't this supposed to... I'm pretty sure...
I can't move it. I think this is just how it's set up.
So, we found some research. What's up with this golden beetle? Is this something you're...
I can't help you, I'm afraid. I think it must be something left behind by a previous inhabitant of Tangle Tower. I'm not the first scientist to ever walk these halls, you know.
Well, it wasn't in the halls. It was in your astronomy tower.
There's something about Pointer's astronomy habits. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
What is that?
Not sure.
Looks like it might attach to something.
Where's that light come?
That's just daylight. There's a decent gap between those floorboards. Is that what I think? That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon when I heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs.
I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs. They're just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me.
I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up with each other.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other. So, Professor, what interests you about astronomy exactly?
It's not a matter of being interested. Once you expand your mind to the wider universe, it cannot be unexpanded.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been an astronomer?
I really don't like to give exact values unless I'm sure I can quantify them.
Convenient.
Why do you ask me these things?
I have a theory about you, Professor.
Oh? Go on.
You're not really interested in astronomy at all.
What could you possibly mean by that?
I think you're interested in a slightly different field of research.
I don't have time for tiny, insignificant My studies focus only on the inconceivably large and the unimaginably far away.
Right. That's why you like using your telescope so much.
Yes, naturally. My little portal into another world.
Yeah, about that. Pointer's telescope was actually looking at the crime scene and not up at the sky.
First, you accuse me of being a lowly entomologist. Now you're accusing me of, what, spying?
Are you spying?
Why would I need to spy on Flora?
Why? Because you lost your golden beetle specimen, and it's made you paranoid. You think somebody stole it from you.
Might not have been Flora you were spying on. Might have been Freya.
It's a very precious specimen, incredibly rare, valuable in ways you could never understand. Freya was always sneaking around, both towers and in the gardens too. She was definitely up to something.
So, this next question is important. You were looking to Flora's room around the time of the murder. Did you witness the crime, Professor?
No, I didn't. When I looked into the room, Flora was already lying on the floor.
Flora? You mean Freya?
No, Flora. She was lying by the window. I couldn't see Freya at all. It was fairly dark. The telescope isn't at a very good angle. That's why I decided to head over there myself. I needed to know what was going on.
This changes your statement, doesn't it?
No, everything I told you in my statement was true.
Apart from the reason you left your tower in the first place.
Right.
I need to confirm something with you, Poppy.
Confirm away.
What can you tell us about this cassette tape? Is it yours?
It belongs to Freya. She liked to have music playing while she was painting, you know.
And do you know what kind of music is on this tape?
No idea. Acid jazz?
It's piano music. Sounds an awful lot like your music, to be honest.
Sure it doesn't belong to you?
Why are we even talking about this? Cassette tapes have been redundant for a good few years now.
The tape was found at the crime scene. It was in the gramophone.
It's not mine.
Why not?
Not my color.
You used to like these colors.
Ridiculous.
We need a clue to compare with the cassette tape. Something that proves Poppy used to like these colors. Let's take a closer look at this. The pink cassette tape. Almost. Maybe. The pink cassette tape found at the crime scene matches the pink cassette player used by Poppy in this old photo.
That is not me.
Yeah, it is. I'll prove it. You look a little different, but Fifi and Freya are pretty recognizable. It's clearly a photo of you with your two best friends. Why'd you tear it up and then hide it?
I think the answer is pretty straightforward. Poppy doesn't want to look like that anymore.
That's it. Makes this whole thing seem kind of irrelevant.
Maybe. It depends on the reason.
The reason she doesn't want to look like that anymore?
The passage of time is a powerful thing.
Hold on. This means that pink cassette tape does belong to you, Poppy.
It used to. I recorded some piano music.
Freya could have easily been listening to this tape at the exact moment she was killed. There's gotta be a connection between the tape, the gramophone, and the murder.
There's one other thing I want to know. How did it get that crack down the middle?
I have no idea.
This is a photo of Fifi and Freya, right?
Yeah.
How come you're not in it? Your friend.
I'm not really one for photographs.
Fifi looks like she really admires Freya.
Fifi's loyalty to Freya is unshakable. Is that Fifi's diary? I'm sure I've seen it in her room before.
That's where we found it.
Have you ever read it? Do you know what's written in there?
Nope. I'm sure she wouldn't appreciate me invading her privacy.
I thought you and Fifi were close friends.
Yeah, we are. It's just... Fifi's gotten kinda impatient with me recently.
Do you know why?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure she'd tell you.
Oh, she would. She'd give probably why I've been avoiding it. I don't know.
Weird.
Well, my room is full of junk. There's probably a bunch of stuff hidden in there. I don't mean like... Please stop talking to me.
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time.
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring. A wooden carving of my father, made by my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint. It is a model of Freya, made by my father.
A model of Flora, you mean?
And a man with a beard. And a little red and white creature.
Why would my father make a model of Freya? This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh yes, it has a telescopic lens. It can only be used for looking at things that are far away. Name, Fitzfellow. Age, 24. Profession, cryptobotanist. Likes soil, dislikes electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So what's your problem with him?
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife. A book. My book.
And what's in it?
Pages. This photograph is my favorite photograph.
So, why'd you rip it in half?
That was not me. Besides, it was not a half that was ripped off. It was only a third.
There's something about that diary we found in Fifi's room. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
Is this your diary, Fifi? We found it in your bedroom.
Of course it is mine.
Why is it locked up like that?
Would you seriously require an explanation? Very well. A fairly common concept, the so-called secret diary, is favored in particular by girls between the ages of 10.
So, there are secrets written in here?
This particular diary is unused.
It doesn't look unused.
It's somebody else's diary.
How could you arrive at that conclusion? It is kept in my bedroom. It is mine.
We need a clue to compare with the diary. Let's take a closer look at that. This blue book is the same thing as the secret diary, which proves it belonged to Freya.
You were hiding Freya's diary in your room, and you kept it locked, too.
Why would I do either of these things?
Fifi didn't want anyone to see personal secrets within Freya's diary.
Is this true, Fifi?
I know Freya was your friend, but if you're trying to hide something...
You did not know Freya, so this might be difficult to understand. She did her own thing, in her own way. By concealing Freya's written accounts, it is simply my intention to preserve her innocence.
Innocence?
Might be easier if you just let us read the diary, Fifi.
Very well. I will, however, as you read it, please remember, Freya was the most kind and the most wise person I have ever known.
All right.
Finally. What's in there?
Freya was...
Something to do with the statue in the garden, I think.
Maybe we should go back.
This was...
What is it?
It's a little wooden toy.
There's a note.
What does it say? Grimoire? What do you think?
How
Why don't we check the handwriting?
Good idea.
Well?
It's a perfect match.
Well, it's confirmed. We have a ghost helping us.
Let's keep this to ourselves for now.
What about the little wooden toy thingy?
Maybe we can put it to some kind of use. This belongs to you, huh?
Correct.
And
It's my handheld microscope.
What do you magnify with it?
Trace particles.
have you used it here?
I have.
What were you looking for?
That is between myself and my...
There's something about something.
Let's ask her about it.
This little microscope thing? You said you used it to search the greenhouse.
And this would make perfect sense. If you knew what my client had asked me. Of course, I still have no intention of disclosing that information.
You're such a tease, Hawkshaw. Don't worry, we already worked out what you're searching for.
You're not as hopeless as you look.
Thanks.
So, that's what you were looking for in the greenhouse?
Surely even you. The greenhouse is home to a great many insects. The gardener could have easily kept the bee.
Well, Fitz said you questioned him.
He's not exactly the type to appreciate subtlety. He simply didn't notice that I was...
What do you reckon, Grimoire?
I know for a fact she didn't use the microscope in the greenhouse. It's not a microscope at all.
All of a sudden, Detective Grimoire is some kind of expert on microscopes.
The handheld microscope, according to Fifi, uses a telescopic lens, so Hawkshaw lied about it. I'm inclined to believe Fifi when it comes to stuff like that.
Hawkshaw, why did you lie about owning a telescope?
When you were a child, what did you aspire?
A detective? Naturally.
Emperor of the Galaxy.
I wanted to be an astronomer.
Really?
I harbored a desire to understand the secrets of the wider universe. A fool's errand, to be sure, but a seductive one. At 15, I decided instead to apply my intelligence to the world around me, and so I became a detective. But the yearning for elusive knowledge is a powerful force.
Sorry, but we're way off track. What's the deal with the little telescope?
A memento. My little more than a toy.
Why did you bring it with you?
When I discovered, I dared to consider it something. I had hoped he might sign my telescope. An extremely childish indulgence, I admit.
I never would have guessed.
Hold on. You're admitting you didn't use it in the greenhouse then?
Correct. As it happens, I have no need to search the greenhouse to such a degree. Professor Pointer doesn't consider the gardener a suspect in our theft investigation.
So, who is your suspect?
Things have become complicated. My lead suspect is your murder victim.
How long is that?
Looks like Freya's paints.
Do you know why the pots are cracked down one side?
No, that's very odd. They're normally in excellent condition.
You seem pretty sure about that.
I've been carving for a couple of years now. I was hopeless when I started, but
Do you paint them yourself too?
I do indeed. Yes. Nowadays, I can make just about anything I can. Of course, this
Artifact, huh? So, you own a sword, Felix?
Of course. I own a great many, but my weapons are stored well away from Tangle Tower. Safety first, and... you found it. What do you... I had to rush the final touch. It turned out all right, though.
What's it supposed to be?
It's Flora, of course, surrounded by all...
There's something.
Let's ask her about it.
The whole room is...
Yeah, there might.
So, this paint, specifically that knife in Flora's hand.
Yeah, it's creepy. But we didn't find a knife anywhere in the room. So what's going on?
It's not a knife. We need a clue to compare with, something to explain. Let's take a closer look at this. The painted knife is actually just a feather from an ink-dip bird.
It's definitely the right shape, but the book's not in color. The thing Flora's holding in the painting is red and white, specifically. Is there anything to suggest that the ink-dip bird is red and white too? This little thing? I don't understand why Felix would make a model of this bird as part of a gift for Flora. And come to think of it, why would Flora be holding a feather in the painting anyway?
The ink-dip bird was Flora's pet, so she kept a single feather to remember it by.
She kept the bird as a pet. And it died?
Maybe it flew away.
Flora spends all her time staring out the window.
Either way, she kept the feather. I think it was pretty important to her.
All right. So she was holding the feather while Freya was painting her. But where is it now? You'd think she'd keep it somewhere close by.
Yeah, I think she does. Normally. This is where Flora usually keeps her feather.
But we opened it. It's empty.
Mm-hmm. Completely empty. Flora? She's pointing at something.
It's just a pile of books. Wait, there's something to...
It's unlike her to leave paint on the brush.
I think we'll give her a pass.
Yes, so we shall. Uncommonly skilled. She helped me get started with taught me what she knew about wood carving, too. Tremendous patience. She was...
Freya and Flora were close?
Oh, yes.
How are you related to Freya?
Somewhat distantly, as it happens. My father, was her grandfather. Let's just say there was some discussion over whether she ought to carry the name at all. There's a family tree in the Grand Hall. You should take a look.
What about her inheritance?
Freya's parents died when she was around 3 years old. She came to live here shortly afterwards.
Nobody left her a thing?
I'm afraid not. She had no formal claim over anything at Tangle Tower.
There's something about Felix's painting supplies. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
So, about this paint we found in your room.
Nothing suspicious about it. I used it to paint, obviously. Totally normal thing to do.
We never said it was suspicious.
Come on then, out with it. What exactly are you accusing me of?
It's not your paint pot. Did you take it from somewhere else?
What on earth? It's definitely mine. I even have proof. Look, the lid matches the ones on all my other paint pots. End of discussion.
That's not the end of the discussion.
We need a clue to compare with Felix's red paint. Something to prove who would actually... Let's take a closer look at this. Freya's red paint pot was stolen and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it.
That red paint is from Freya's supplies, not yours. Swapping the lids doesn't hide what you did.
Why are you bothering me about paint anyway? And none of this is connected to you.
This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood before Freya used it to paint Flora.
Oh, that's definitely something. Right, fine. I was busy working on a project when I suddenly realized I had run out of red. There was a certain amount of time pressure. So I politely asked Freya if I could borrow hers, just for a little while, you know, perfectly reasonable.
But she said no.
I tried to explain why I needed it, but she didn't seem to care. So, I took Freya's red paint pot and swapped it with my own empty one.
You went into her room?
Not my proudest moment, but it's...
And the paint pot you left behind was definitely empty?
Quite. I have absolutely no idea how it got...
Why were you in such a hurry to get a hold of red paint anyway?
I was trying to finish this in time for Flora's birthday. I needed red to paint the...
Could you not have just used a different...
Out of the question. It had to be red and white.
If you managed to finish it, why...
Well, I decided against it in the end, after what seemed a bit...
Let's go over what we know about the crime scene.
Oh, did you talk to Poppy already?
Yeah.
And did you make any notes?
Yeah,
Lovely. Burn them. It'll all be lies.
Why would Poppy lie to us?
Because that's what she does. she's a snake. Looks like one, too.
Don't you think you're being a little unfair?
She started it. That's, rather strange now, isn't it?
We found it in your room.
Just lying around, was it?
Nope. You'd hidden it, but we found it.
We do that.
Who's the her in the message?
It's really none of your business. Ooh, delightful. Well,
Inedible, too.
yes. But honestly, Yes, it's my...
You don't like it?
I'm no good at caring for plants. I forget to water them. Birds are much easier. They're a lot more vocal when they get thirsty.
Do you at least like the look of the flower?
The look?
The colors? The shape of it? Between you and me,
I think it's a little vulgar. Oh, did Fitz show you that?
Not exactly.
we found it hidden under his bed.
Ah, right. Isn't he strapping?
He is
And so,
kinda sulky, yeah.
I can never tell.
It just sounds like...
I don't remember asking for... There used to be all kinds of most fascinating breeds.
Used to be?
Most of them are rather ordinary.
What happened to the...
That. I must say the girls are awfully well behaved today. I think they know we're in the presence of...
They belong to you? Why do you...
They need a special diet, particular treat. But they're all one of a kind. I couldn't let anything happen to them.
Do they have names?
Of course. Let me introduce you to Tabitha, Tamara, and Tatiana.
I've already forgotten all three of those names.
Which one is which?
Oh, that's simple. Tatiana is the oldest. Tabitha is the most patient.
Glad we cleared that up.
What about the one on your head?
On my head? He's just my hat. He doesn't have a name. Who would name their hat?
There's something about those something.
Let's ask her about it.
So... Yeah, we found this.
Oh, that's nothing.
You wrote, "Now I'll get her," on a piece of paper and hid it in... That's not nothing.
Actually, it's not the message I wanted to ask about. It's those red flower petals.
The petals.
They're from red roses. And there's only one place in Tango Tower...
We need a clue. Something that shows the roses. And who they belong to. It's a drawing of Fitz and Poppy in the rooftop. See what Fitz is holding?
I can't imagine what you're getting at. But it doesn't matter. I couldn't have taken anything from the rooftop garden. It's only accessible from Fitz's room or Poppy's room. How could I have taken something from a garden to which I have no access?
Is it really only accessible?
For most people, it would be. But don't forget.
My dears, what are you?
One of Penny's birds was used to spy on Poppy and Fitz and steal evidence from them. We know those two have been spending time together in the rooftop garden. I'm guessing you got paranoid. Wanted to know what they were up to.
I'm just not the jealous type. I would never suspect Fitz of anything like that. Besides, Tabitha hardly ever leaves her cage. She's certainly never flown up to the rooftop garden.
We need a clue to compare with Penny. Something to prove one of them has been... Let's take a closer look at... This yellow feather was left behind by Penny's yellow bird when it visited the rooftop garden.
I kept knowing the two of them are hidden away up there in their private little garden. Couldn't risk spying on them myself, so I asked dear Tabitha. I knew she'd be able to bring me back some evidence.
Sorry, Penny, but are you not overreacting a little?
You don't understand. Fitz is slipping away from me. He's so quiet with me these days. But being with Poppy seems to bring him out of his shell. I don't know what he sees in her miserable little... I apologize. This really isn't your burden to...
A flower.
Yeah, it's a flower.
Okay.
Mean anything to you?
Why would it?
Come on.
I don't really go into Penny's room or anywhere in Pointer Tower. I just don't have a reason to. This is a good example of I mix that soil here. It's made with water from the...
And it makes the fruit grow.
Sometimes. You never really know what's going on.
And what do you do with this shiny and...
You look at it.
This is yours, Fitz?
Yeah.
Do you use it?
I keep all my tools in the greenhouse.
That wasn't what she asked. There's something about the something.
Let's ask him about it.
So, Fitz, I have a report that you were seen sneaking up Pointer Tower. Holding a knife.
That's not right. I don't go into Pointer Tower. I don't own a knife. And I... Was it Fifi who told you this?
How did you know that?
A guess. She doesn't like me very much. But yeah, she was mistaken. Maybe she wasn't wearing her...
What do you think, Grimoire?
Fifi did see Fitz.
So, if it wasn't a...
What about this?
That.
Is it yours?
It was a gift. It's sentimental. I have no reason to take it up Pointer Tower. I don't use it at all.
An ornate trowel was used to almost... An ornate trowel is used by Fitz to look after a potted flower in Penny's room.
That flower.
Yes?
I've never seen it before.
We need a clue to compare to that.
Let's take a closer look at... The pot and soil in Penny's room matches the pot and soil found in Fitz's greenhouse. Let me guess. Penny, there's no way it's a coincidence.
No way what's a
The
coincidence.
flower. It looks exactly...
It took me a long time to breed. I wanted...
That's some gift.
Turns out Penny isn't particularly interested in... So I go into her room every now and again, water the flower, change the soil, just trying to keep it alive.
We know a little more about the crime scene now. So, what do you think? Was Freya stabbed by her own painting?
Blood from the paint pot was used to paint the red tip of the painted ink dip feather to resemble a bloody knife.
I think you're right. Can't decide if I'm disappointed or relieved.
I have a question. Why?
Either it's a very strange coincidence, or somebody set it up.
Somebody deliberately put blood in the paint pot and hid that feather after the crime. Why? To distract us?
Possibly.
Well, it worked.
Possibly.
Flora's the only person who could have hidden the feather, unless someone took it from her.
Let's go over what we do know. The door was locked the whole time. It stayed locked until Fitz. Normally, it can only be opened from the pointer said he couldn't see Freya from his telescope. But he did see Flora, lying by the window.
So whatever got Freya, got Flora too?
Except Flora survived. She didn't get a stab wound like Freya did.
Hold on. If there was no knife, then what did stab Freya?
It could be anything. It might not even be important.
How is it not important?
Right now, I'm less interested in the what, and more interested in the how.
The angle of Freya's wound suggests she was stabbed at a perfect right angle. That is, from directly in front of her. But she was standing right up by the canvas.
Somehow, Freya ended up lying on her back, still perfect.
Maybe something went through it.
Through the painting? Wouldn't that leave...
Okay, well, how about this? How do we know Freya was stabbed before she fell over? Maybe her being stabbed and her falling over are completely unrelated.
Yeah, it's mine.
Can you play the tune for us?
Sure. It's...
Weird.
It's someone humming a tune. That's all formality.
So, what?
Should we go back to the garden?
What's this?
It's my case file.
You mean to say your bound's dreadful?
I found it comforting.
Charming, isn't it? Dear Flora's...
But now it's owned by you.
The fellows
And
and...
who named it Tangled?
Flora chose.
What does it mean?
I think it was her and...
From what?
This really isn't. After they moved away, I think perhaps she hoped...
That's kind of extreme.
What is your opinion?
Oh, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask?
I am the heir of the... This makes me the sole...
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do. If you don't want the house, or just sell it.
You sound... I require facts.
Well...
Correction. There was no knife found.
Apart from the one in the...
Which, as a mere apt, nobody has ever been...
Tangle Tower. No idea why they insist. It's little more than a pair.
Have you...
I believe so.
He wants to know if you...
Huh. I'm afraid the residents... I was disappointed. You truly...
What's wrong with it?
No organization.
That's my style. I like seeing everything.
How quaint.
Nice painting. Gives you a pretty good idea.
The lake looks like
It might seem strange, but nature is quite
And those...
We don't know much about, not even Freya.
What's that?
This painting. There are no photographs.
So, Freya...
Let's call it... Who gave you?
We don't actually know. We were contacted.
I see. And what happens if the...
Honestly, that would be kind of...
That's just...
What else would it be?
Needless noise from tongues, the spoken word. Stand unblinked. Foregone drifter. Is it bravery or nothing darker? Between the lips, a soul. The chosen dwelling lost her liberty. With surging on it serve the orchestra. Heart of head, but starry eyes, a soul untied. Softly does the flower rest a seed within hour by hour. Eavesdrop what floating, help take a moment. Feathers flashing, I shield my eye. Light is shiny. That's me. I'm on a list of murders. I always thought that would be kind of cool, but it's just tedious.
Falls a little short.
So there are two facts.
3.4 follows.
What's the connection between...
There isn't one. It was all built by the Remington. Flora is a Remington. So was Primrose. My mom, she married into the point.
So the fellow...
Flora owns the house, depending on who you ask.
What about your father?
His claim over the house.
Where's your mother now?
No idea. There's something I know.
Hit me.
From what we could tell, there's only one. The whole thing is peaceful.
To a visitor, fresh.
Not to you.
Try live. If it wasn't for my
What about inherit? You're the next...
Well, but no.
Is that fair?
I couldn't care less.
That's a very...
I'm guessing she said no.
Would have been much more polite. Instead, she was accused me of being...
So which one is Tangle?
What's that?
There are two towers, right?
Neither? You'd have to ask Flo.
She named the house?
The whole thing.
With Felix, you mean?
No, her brother, the Remington family. I don't... Not exactly a...
It's enough.
Let's try this again.
You know, I think we... That's gotta be right.
Nothing. Maybe it's broken.
Wait, do you hear that? Where do you think it'd go?
Down. What a mess.
Any idea what this is all? Is that a periodic?
No, but it does kind of...
What are those?
They're all comics mostly based on...
Huh. What's in there? It's a little diagram.
That's weird.
What?
It looks really compared to the beetles behind the glass. Is it locked?
Seems likely. Weird looking
I'm
sign.
pretty sure the latch...
No, that was it.
Nice work. Anything inside?
Yeah, more research.
Whose research is... This is some seriously...
That's impressive, but it's incomplete. There's a section missing.
So, this is Pointer's secret lab.
Definitely seems like he's the one using it.
I guess not a lot of people know about the secret entrance.
Right. But if Pointer's the only one who comes down here, why would he need to lock his research in a safe? Who's he hiding it from?
He's just paranoid, especially about his golden beetle.
What do you think he's trying to do exactly?
Pointer has been trying to breed the golden beetle in the underground laboratory.
Why? Because it's rare?
Because it's gold?
Is that it?
I think so. I don't think he cares about entomology any more than he cares about astronomy. He just wants to get one over on Felix. If he can breed his own gold, suddenly Poppy's inheritance is looking pretty,
Infinite. Might explain why he was so worried about losing the beetle. Maybe somebody did steal it.
Might have been Freya after all. We know she was trying to get through the secret door in the garden.
She might not have known what was down here, though. Maybe she was just curious.
Curious, sure, but not naive. I reckon she knew what was going on.
I think we're still missing the bigger picture. There's no way this is all just about a beetle. We're done.
Ready to go down? Again?
Basements don't...
We're at the bottom of the lake. It must be.
Right. But if that's the lake bed...
Like what?
White, smooth, no plants, no anything. That's not what a lake looks like.
Where are we?
Did you notice how much light this room has? For a room with one candle?
It's all coming through the window.
I'm pretty sure lakes are supposed to be darker at the bottom, not lighter.
Why is there a room down here anyway? And why is it so much older than the rest of Tangle Tower?
We still don't really know why people came to live here in the first place.
Maybe they just wanted to get rich, like Pointer with his beetles.
I feel like the Remingtons came here for the lake, for what was in it.
It's empty, though. More empty than a normal lake would be.
It is now, yeah. Maybe we're too late. A single book.
This is creeping me out.
Why?
I think it's a children's book. We're too late. This photograph.
Why?
Not sure. Some kind of metal stabbing thingy. So what's the photo? Do you know who it is? This man in the photo, he reminds me of something from one of our clues.
Felix made a little model of him for Flora?
Yeah, it makes sense when you know who he is. Lord Remington.
Remington. That makes him Flora's father, meaning the girl in the photo is...
Yeah, it's her. See the bird, too.
I never would have guessed. Times sure do change.
I don't know. I don't think she looks so different. There's a roll of paper up there.
I'll see.
Let me guess. The Grand Hall.
What's that thing?
I think it's that big...
Study. Wait.
I know what you're thinking. And no, we...
How did we miss it?
This...
Grade. Let's head back. I want to find... Wow.
How long were we down there?
This...
How are we supposed to...
Hang on, but I think there's a ladder.
Want to go up?
It's a wooden pinboard, hung up on one of the chains.
Looks like there's a couple of things missing from it.
Coffee table. I'm gonna say...
Someone complacent enough to leave their notebook lying around.
An incinerated still...
Is there anything left?
It's mostly ashes, but yeah, there's something. Someone's been using this room. I don't get it. This room is in the original building plans for the mansion, but nowadays it's some big secret?
It's not a secret to everybody. At least one other person still knows about this room.
The way the notebook was left out on the table makes me think it's someone who has the room all to themselves.
Whoever it was, they left more than just the notebook. There's a whole design project on this pinboard. Feels like someone put quite a bit of effort into it.
It's a shame there are things missing from it. I'm betting it'd make more sense if we could see it all together.
That might not be impossible, you know.
Painting from Freya's room, and those sketches. Did Freya design Detective Hawkshaw's clothes? What kind of sense does that make?
I don't think that's why Freya made that painting, but it may have been why somebody took a photo of it, to use as reference. And as for those sketches of Hawkshaw, I don't think Freya actually drew them. It was somebody else, someone with less of a talent for art.
Doesn't exactly narrow it down. Should we go ask Detective Hawkshaw about all this?
I'm not sure. I still don't know what's really going on.
Who are all the people?
Not sure, but it looks like someone didn't like them very much. Names have all been crossed out. photo is important.
Another photograph.
Their faces are all crossed out with some kind of black ink.
That's weird.
Oh, you think so?
No, I mean, something I just realized. Sally, did we meet any of these people here at Tangle Tower?
Well, the woman on the left looks a little like Poppy, but her style is way different. And at first I thought the guy on the top right was Felix, but now that I look at it, I don't think it is him.
Is that a crab?
It's got a translucent...
Also, crab... Ugh.
Grimoire, don't...
Perfect. What's this?
Something somebody didn't want us to find. What is it?
Was someone trying to hide it?
I don't know, but it looks incomplete to me. I want to know what happened to the rest of it. Where are the other parts?
We found them already.
What do you make of it?
Not sure. Let's keep an open mind.
You don't think the crossbow is the murder weapon?
Oh no, the crossbow is definitely the murder weapon. But that doesn't mean we've solved the mystery. Time to solve this.
All right, break out the notebook. Time to put it all together.
Let's start with this. It's an arrow for the crossbow, and it matches Freya's wound. It's the murder weapon. I'm sure of it.
Despite the fact it doesn't have any blood on it, and it wasn't found anywhere near the crime scene.
It was cleaned, then it was hidden. I don't think anybody expected us to get down to that room at the bottom of the lake.
Okay, so Freya was shot by a crossbow. Where was it fired from?
It was fired from above Freya.
Above, huh?
Yeah, our diagram doesn't show everything. Let's add in the rest of the crime scene.
The attic.
Perfect hiding place. We even found a part of the murder weapon up there. The reel was used to pull the arrow back up through the crack in the floorboards.
Explains why we never found a weapon at the crime scene, I guess.
The murderer must have dropped the reel in the attic. I'm guessing they were in a hurry to escape.
Wait, the arrow was fired through the crack in the floorboards?
Yeah, it's directly above where Freya was found lying on her back.
Nope, doesn't add up. It would have missed her if she was still standing up by the painting.
Ah, right.
Unless... Freya was already lying on her back before the arrow was fired.
I think so too. She'd fallen unconscious.
Something in the room caused Freya to fall unconscious.
The gramophone.
Right.
But the gramophone by itself can't do that.
There was something in the gramophone.
Something small. Pointer's research says it can emit an incredibly loud hiss when it feels threatened. Poppy and Fitz both said they heard a loud noise around the time of the murder. Neither of them had any idea what it was.
This seems a little far-fetched. Is it really loud enough to knock someone out?
No, I don't think so, not by itself. But don't forget, it was being amplified by the shape of the gramophone. I don't think we're purely talking about volume either. It might just be a particular type of frequency.
This is getting kinda scientific. Since when do you know anything about the effects of weaponized audio frequency?
I don't. But I think someone else. Do you remember that statue we found in the music room? The horn it's playing. It's a pretty similar shape to the one on the ground. That broken glass isn't there on accident. This is someone's science experiment.
Thinking about it, Pointer said he saw Flora was knocked out too. I guess they were both in range of the noise, although Pointer might have been lying.
Personally, I think he was telling the truth about that. It's pretty clear a powerful frequency did pass through Flora's tower. Caused quite a bit of damage too.
That's not it.
Those cracks didn't appear out of nowhere. Freya's paints, the pink cassette tape, and the gramophone itself, they all sustained similar damage while they were in that room.
That's some seriously powerful vibration. Enough to crack metal. Enough to knock someone out all the way across a room.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't get. If the frequency was so powerful and had such a big range, how did the murderer pull it off? Wouldn't they have been in range too? Think about it. They can't have been much further away from the gramophone than Flora was.
They protected themselves.
How?
These are some pretty heavy-duty earmuffs. I think they'd be enough to block out the sound.
Right. Let's go over everything. 1. Freya is painting Flora's portrait. They're listening to music on the gramophone.
2. The murderer is hiding in the attic, wearing earmuffs.
3. The golden beetle starts to emit its hissing noise.
Hold on. How did it know?
The beetle?
Yeah. What triggered it? At that particular moment. Pointer's research said it makes the noise when it feels threatened.
I'm not sure. Maybe something in the music?
Maybe.
4. Freya and Flora are both knocked unconscious by the vibrations. Freya lands on her back. She drops the brush and palette by her side.
5. The murderer fires the crossbow directly downwards.
6. The arrow is pulled back up on the reel.
7. The murderer leaves the attic, presumably.
8. The door is kicked down. Fitz and Poppy enter the room.
That's it. There's something bothering me.
What?
I just want to check something. Let's go back to the crime scene. Freya, did you leave us a clue?
The answer is in the painting. I'm sure of it. So what's bothering you?
Something that's not here. The thing we know she was holding it during the painting.
Flora's ink-dip feather?
It was here. In this room. Where'd it go?
We found it somewhere else.
That's not it. That's not it. That's not it.
We were a little too late to save it.
So it was stolen from the crime scene. And ended up in the incinerator down in the study.
Someone wanted to destroy it, I guess.
But how? How was it stolen from up here in Flora's tower?
Presumably, Flora dropped it when she fell unconscious.
Yeah, and then what? The murderer couldn't have stolen it if they were up in the attic.
So the question is, how could they steal something from a room they weren't able to access? The final clue about the crime scene. Freya left it for us right here. It's in the unfinished. It's not quite a photo, but still, if only she'd finished it. And then I could...
It's true she never finished it, but she did intend to finish it.
Meaning?
We know more about the painting than what Freya actually got down on the canvas. Freya prepared all the colors she was going to need before she started painting. The yellow paint was going to be used to paint this sketch of something sitting in the window.
Something in the window.
There she is, our little thief.
How long has it been there? Did it hear the whole...
She did, but she's a very good listener. Well now, I think this has quite served its purpose, don't you?
Penny, why did you...
It's Penelope, if you don't mind. But before we begin, isn't there a certain formality demanding our attention? Lovely. Now, tell me, what was it that drove you this far? I'm ever so curious.
Justice. For Freya.
Is that right? Interesting.
Why did you do it, Penny? What did Freya do to you?
Absolutely nothing.
So, what? You just hated her indiscriminately?
Freya Fellow was an inspiration to us all. She was possessed of the volition to create something from nothing. The willpower to walk beyond her boundaries. She was truly everything I couldn't be.
You know what? I just realized I actually have no idea who Penelope Pointer really is.
Weird, isn't it? Considering we've met her, what is it, 3 times now?
Exactly. How do we know this one isn't a disguise too?
You think you've already hollowed us out, don't you? Only a few short hours at Tangle Tower. And you feel like you've unearthed every single one of our secrets. Nothing but bullet points for your notebook. Go on, indulge me. What does it say in your notes about Penelope Pointer? I suppose I can't argue with that, can I?
Penny, we only know what you choose to tell us, so why not help us out?
Very well. Penelope Pointer she pales in comparison to those who came before her and to those that came after. Living at Tangle Tower, it is very difficult to attain the levels of self-realization you probably take for granted.
You sure this is a Tangle Tower thing? And not even...
Perhaps you didn't notice. Not one of...
So why stay? Why not just leave?
I thought she did leave. Penny, you said you traveled, didn't you?
I did. Many times I've walked away. It did not help me. You saw the family tree hanging in the grand hall, did you not?
Yeah, it lists a bunch of people who don't live here anymore.
A bunch of people who don't live here anymore. I couldn't... My mother, for one. My father, too. The other 2 Remingtons. Poppy's mother, Primrose. And her brother, Richard.
And Fitz's father.
That's 5. 5 people that might have lived here, but don't.
And that was the first question I wanted answered.
You wanted to know where they'd all gone?
More than that, I wanted to know if I belonged with them. I have no place here. Not among the Fellows, the Remingtons, or the Pointer. But I felt there must be a reason why everyone else left. Some common purpose they all shared. Perhaps it could be my purpose, too.
So, what did you actually do about it?
Nothing I could do, at first. Nobody would tell me anything. The more questions I asked, the fewer answers I got. Then, I found it. I was 19. Same age Freya is now.
Found what?
The study. The one hidden in the middle of the house. It's right next to her bedroom.
I'd hear voices at night. Deep ones. And the strangest thing, the wall behind my bed would get incredibly hot. For hours on end. The paint would peel. Wallpaper wouldn't stay up. I thought I was cursed. I thought it was something trying. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I found my way in the same way you did. Once you know it's there, it's simple.
So, you got into the study and found the incinerator. That must have been a relief, right?
It was still warm when I found it. Then, let's see how thorough you've been. Tell me, do you know what a
Misted?
Mistids? Sure, yeah.
You're more observant than I.
Sorry, what?
It's a collective term. From before my birds, insects, amphibians. Any mutation can take several generations, or it can...
Wait, mistids, like...
A little egregious, isn't it? I suspect that was an intentional parallel. The main difference being mistids are perfectly real. They're just kept secret. Or at least, that was the original plan. As it happened, some got out.
How do you know all this?
When I entered the study at 19, I found a single object that rather changed. Something which answered my questions while at once creating all new ones. The 5 missing family members standing together as a single unit, calling themselves the ambassadors of Misted Mansion.
So, the house was renamed from Misted Mansion to Tangle Tower?
And rightly so. The age of Misted Mansion is long past. When I looked inside the incinerator on my first visit to the study, I found nothing but ash. The afterimage of a bygone era, denied to me in its study. The room at the bottom of the lake itself. I felt my only hope lay with the ambassadors. If I could find them, maybe they'd share the family history that Flora and the others were trying so hard.
How did you track
It was tough. They'd taken almost everything. Books, maps, charts, the creatures themselves, all lost, taken away. But I got lucky. I got a lead. I found one, and he led me to...
And? What happened? Why'd you paint out all their faces?
They didn't help you either, did they?
19-year-old me had imagined they'd all left with a mission, a unified purpose, but they hadn't. They were, in fact, every bit as fractured as the people that still... Most of them had left tracking escaped mystids. Some claimed to be researchers, others little more than hunters. All 5 completely useless to me.
Even your own parents?
Eventually, I returned to Tangle Tower. I had nowhere else to go. I considered giving up, but instead, I made a decision. There was only one person at Tangle Tower still of interest to me. My dear Uncle Pointer had suddenly made a show of taking up astronomy. A fairly superficial charade. I don't think many people were fooled by it. But I knew it wasn't just a falsehood. It was a mask. Pointer had found something from the era.
So where did he get the beetle?
I cannot be sure. But I theorize that he received it in the post.
In the post?
Who can say? Someone outside Tangle Tower. But the thought that he would be in contact with such a person, all that decided to take what was owed to me.
So you stole it.
Stealing the beetle turned out to be only the first step. Upon realizing it was gone, Pointer made little effort to disguise his frustration. I asked what was bothering him. He foresaw no risk in sharing a little of the truth with his niece. He told me he'd lost a rare treasure, something he'd been keeping safe. I suggested, innocently, that perhaps it was not lost. Perhaps it had been stolen. He was very ready to believe he'd been the victim of theft. When I offered to call in a private detective, he jumped on the idea. She arrived the next day. Hawkshaw prides herself on her punctuality.
Why, though? Why go through all that? The name, the costume, and...
It's somewhat sad to admit, but I had little use left for Penny Pointer as she was. Hawkshaw afforded me new advantages, opportunities.
But didn't you have to pretend to be working for Professor Pointer?
Well, that was one of the advantages. Pointer was in such a desperate state, he was finally willing to share some of his secrets. On the second day, Hawkshaw explained she needed to be able to search the secret laboratory. Pointer gave in and gave me the code for the harp statue. Reluctantly, but still.
So, you stole Pointer's research?
I would have done, if I'd found anything worth stealing. But he had made remarkably little progress, barely scratching the surface of the beetle's true mystery.
Which is?
It carries an exoskeleton approximately 90, but it's not the 90% I'm interested in. Did you ever question what exactly makes the water here? Before Misted Mansion was built over the lake, before the lake was even a lake, Lord Remington and his wife built a small structure here, a research station, supposedly. Fast forward 2 or 3 generations, and as you saw for yourself, it's been most...
The ambassadors took everything when they left.
And everything they didn't take was burned in the incinerator. However, possessing additional insight, I found something. It's not much, but I have what I need.
So, why isn't this the end of the story? Why did you stay? Why did you...
Simply put, Freya was too good. It's my fault. I pushed her over the edge, unknowingly, but still, I take the blame.
What are you talking about?
Did you know I based the design for Hawkshaw on something Freya painted? That's right. I had assumed it was purely abstract. I just thought it had a good energy. I later discovered it was a figure of some kind, something from Freya for all her vitality. I think Freya was probably the most troubled of all. She was desperate to leave Tangle Tower, but she couldn't just walk away. For quite some time, she'd been trying to break into Pointer's laboratory. Freya and her friends were halfway through deciphering those symbols on the harp statue, I believe.
Why did she care about getting into Pointer's lab?
That's exactly what I wondered. At first, I thought perhaps she just wanted to free the beetles. She has a fondness for them. What Pointer was doing upset her significantly. But in fact, I think it was something else. I think she wanted to free. The real reason Freya was unable to leave Tangle Tower is that she could not get Fiona to agree to come with her. We're now firmly in the realm of speculation. But I think Freya felt that exposing the darker secrets of Tangle Tower, not just to the rest of the family, but to the world, would compromise all 3 families. And perhaps, somehow, free Fiona from the shackles of her inheritance. That was her plan anyway, but something happened before Freya could find her way into Pointer's laboratory.
She found her way into your study, found your notes, found that photograph. I'm willing to bet she put it all together quicker than we did.
So she worked out what had happened to the 5 ambassadors. Specifically, what you'd done to them when they refused to help you.
Freya had made a promise to paint Flora as a birthday gift, a parting gift no less. She'd be in a locked room, several hours away from her friends.
But why hide in the attic? And why bother with the beetle at all?
The beetle in the gramophone wasn't for Freya. She didn't deserve to be involved. She suffered enough. I couldn't get Flora out of the room, but if she could be unconscious, then she wouldn't have to witness anything.
Why the knife? The illusion of the painted knife with the blood.
That was for Fiona. And Poppy too, I suppose. Gave them something to focus on.
You mean it distracted them while you made your escape?
It helped them cope. The very idea of something abstract. I believe it made things marginally less painful for them. Initially.
Worked on you, too. So why are you still here? Why not take your first chance and...
Well, I've been waiting for an opportunity to get I'd really rather not leave without it.
Wait, it's still...
It's still inside the gramophone.
What's going...
Poppy, they are both awake.
I can see.
You two all right?
My head hurts. What happened to us?
You were both unconscious. 14 minutes by my count.
Really?
You're both fine. No injuries.
Was it the beetle? In the gramophone? I heard it through the ceiling in my room.
The exact same sound we heard before the murder.
I guess it must have been.
So how did we get down here? What happened to Penny?
Fit saved both of you, obviously.
When I reached Flora's tower, you were both unconscious, and Penny was crouched down beside you. She had her crossbow on her, but who knows? She may have just been checking you were both asleep.
Did you know that she was the murderer?
Poppy and Fifi suspected her. Apparently, they were pretty close to solving it themselves.
Fitz did not want to believe us, because he liked Penny. A lot.
But what happened? Fitz, what did she do when she saw you?
She jumped out the window.
What? Did she survive?
She did.
I heard something land in the garden outside my room. But by the time I got out there to check, she was already gone.
Hang on. Poppy, why do you have Penny's hatbird?
She left him behind. I found him sitting on the floor in the aviary, all by himself. Poor little thing. The mean lady didn't care about you at all, did she? No, she didn't.
I apologize. Poppy seems to be under the illusion that the bird can understand human language.
So, Penny got away.
I'm afraid she did.
We had suspected she might try to escape. I was stationed here by the lake's edge. I proved to be an ineffective guard. She took the boat.
Did she take the beetle with her?
Nope.
How do you know?
Because it's right here.
It was still in the gramophone.
Poppy, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to give it back to your father?
No, I'm not. It doesn't belong to anyone, so I'm going to put it on the ground and never bother it again. I think that's what she would have wanted.